All categories and all relevant statistics will be handed out immediately following the announcement. Following the presentation from the stage, rather than a Q&A, if you have any questions, BAFTA spokespeople will be available for comment and interviews if required. Myself or one of my colleagues from Freud's can help organise this. Please check that your mobiles are off, for the benefit of all, but particularly those broadcasters taking the announcement live. That just leaves me to introduce the chairman of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, Tim Corrie, to start the presentation.
Good morning. I'm Tim Corrie, Chairman of BAFTA, and on behalf of the Academy, I'm pleased to welcome you to our Piccadilly headquarters for the announcement of this year's nominations for the Orange British Academy Film Awards. The nominations are the result of 2 rounds of voting by our 6,300 members. 10 categories will be revealed now, with the full list available on the website immediately following this announcement. To present the nominations, I'm delighted to welcome 2 hugely talented young British actors, Talulah Riley, seen recently in the St Trinian's films and soon to be seen in The Dilemma, and Dominic Cooper, whose work includes An Education and the upcoming film The Devil's Double. Talulah and Dominic, please reveal the nominations.
The nominations for supporting actress are Amy Adams for The Fighter, Helena Bonham Carter for The King's Speech, Barbara Hershey for Black Swan, Leslie Manville for Another Year, Miranda Richardson for Made in Dagenham.
The nominations for supporting actor are Christian Bale for The Fighter, Andrew Garfield for The Social Network, Pete Postlethwaite for The Town, Mark Ruffalo for The Kids Are All Right, and Geoffrey Rush for The King's Speech.
The nominations for adapted screenplay are Danny Boyle and Simon Beaufoy for 127 Hours, Rasmus Heisterberg and Nikolai Arkell for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Aaron Sorkin for The Social Network, Michael Arndt for Toy Story 3, and Joel Cohen and Ethan Cohen for True Grit.
The nominations for original screenplay are Mark Heyman, Andre Hines and John McLaughlin for Black Swan, Scott Silver, Paul Tamasay and Eric Johnson for The Fighter, Christopher Nolan for Inception, Lisa Cholodenko and Stuart Blumberg for The Kids Are All Right, and David Seidler for The King's Speech.
The nominations for animated film are Despicable Me, How to Train Your Dragon, and Toy Story 3.
The nominations for director are Danny Boyle for 127 Hours, Darren Aronofsky for Black Swan, Christopher Nolan for Inception, Tom Hooper for The King's Speech, and David Fincher for The Social Network.
The nominations for leading actress are Annette Bening for The Kids Are All Right, Julianne Moore for The Kids Are All Right, Natalie Portman for Black Swan, Noomi Rapace for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Hayley Steinfeld for True Grit.
The nominations for leading actor are Javier Bardem for Beautiful, Jeff Bridges for True Grit, Jesse Eisenberg for The Social Network, Colin Firth for The King's Speech, and James Franco for 127 Hours.
The nominations for Outstanding British Film are 127 Hours, Another Year, 4 Lions, The King's Speech, and Made in Dagenham.
The nominations for Best Film are Black Swan, Inception, The King's Speech, The Social Network, and True Grit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The winners will be revealed at London's Royal Opera House on Sunday 13th of February. Coverage on the BBC begins that night with a standalone red carpet show on BBC 3, followed by the ceremony on BBC 1, hosted by Jonathan Ross. We do hope you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
we said before? We sounded quite good, didn't we, before?
I was just saying Okay, so I guess first of all, what your overall impression of this year's nominations?
I think it's a pretty varied mix of films. You know, we've got like True Grit, and along with The King's Speech and The Social Network, which I thought was pretty brilliant.
I think there's always some surprises, and because of the way in which it's voted for, you have such an eclectic mix of people whose opinions all obviously matter. Because I think, how many voters are there on the? You know this fact. You know this fact. You just learned it. Remember, we learned it on that bit of paper we just had.
I didn't commit it to memory.
Oh, we've both forgotten.
There's a lot of voters.
And do you think
6,000.
So you are
6,000 voters.
It was making us sound more intelligent than we actually
Thanks,
are.
that worked well.
Yeah, it was a failure.
So are there any films on there that you think sort of that may have been overlooked by some of the bit like the Golden Globes and the Oscars? Do you think there's something that it's good to recognise that just the BAFTAs have recognised?
Yes, can you answer that question, please?
Well, I think obviously it's a great year for British films. So and the BAFTAs are obviously great at recognising British talent. Although The King's Speech obviously did really well at the Golden Globes, which was great to see. I'm rooting for Colin.
I'm rooting for Colin. No, that's unfair. No, I was surprised not to see a film which I adored this year, which was Blue Valentine, on this particular. But again, it's always a shock, or it's what makes it so interesting. Again, because of the varied range of people's opinions, that it shows that you never have any idea or can never second guess what people are going to choose.
And what films have you particularly enjoyed this year? What ones have stood out for you?
I really liked The Social Network and Black Swan and The King's Speech and Inception. All of them, basically.
And The Fighter was a fantastic film. And some that you don't get, you have the opportunity to see quite early on, and you don't hear anything about. It's always wonderful to see a film when you've not had a lot of people talking to you about it or informing you about it, and then they're a complete surprise to you, and you can formulate much more of a good opinion yourself rather than being influenced by other people.
And do you think, as actors, can you kind of tell when you start working on a film if a film's going to get a lot of attention? Do you know instantly? At what point do you think you know that a film's going to get this kind of attention?
I don't think you can ever ever know that, and certainly you shouldn't be thinking about that when you're working. I don't
think.
You do. No, you don't.
No, you don't. No.
I'm giving an Oscar report. I hope everyone's looking.
Right, I hope this is for the award season.
You never have any idea. It's so unusual. You never know how people are going to respond or react to films. And some films get loads of media attention. 127 Hours is a fine example of just a truly brilliant film. It's completely exhilarating, and then it gets a huge amount of media coverage in both here and the States. It's a very popular film here in the States, not so much. And so you just can never identify why or for what reason the public want to go and see something. But attention is a different thing altogether. You know something's a brilliant film, but you never know whether people are going to watch it.
Cool, well thank you very much. Nice to speak to you this morning. Thank you.
It's really early, is that why we can't make any...
Okay, so I guess first of all, what's your sort of initial response to this year's nominations?
Well, look, I think everybody expected King's Speech to lead the nominations, so no surprises there. It's very good that it has done. Colin Firth, I think, is the front runner as far as Best Actor is concerned. I think he'll also be the front runner when the Oscar nominations happen. I'm very pleased to see that Black Swan has got so many nominations. It's a terrific movie. Natalie Portman, I think, is probably leading the pack as far as Best Actress is concerned. I was really chuffed that Inception's got so many nominations. That was my favourite film of the year. Inception, directed by Christopher Nolan, who is, of course, a British director. There is, perhaps a slightly more British flavour to these awards than you've seen in the American awards. Made in Dagenham, for example, got 4 nominations. It was overlooked at the Golden Globes. I'd love to see it, recognised, because it's such a terrific movie. I think it's got, a chance of winning, for example, Miranda Richardson in the Best Supporting Actor category, although she's up against Barbara Hershey. We already knew Orange Wednesday Rising Star Public Award. 4 out of 5 of those nominations were British nominations. So, a strong British showing, and I think all the films that people expected to be nominated have been nominated, with a couple of interesting omissions. Never Let Me Go has been sort of largely overlooked. But I'm very pleased that Inception's there, very pleased that Made in Dagenham's been recognised. If anything, I would like to have seen it recognised in more categories.
I was going to say, is there any sort of standout surprise for you?
Well, there is some. I mean, as a film critic, Chico and Rita, I wanted to see in the animation category. That's not there. I mean, as I said, Made in Dagenham 4 nominations, good. I would have liked to have seen more, perhaps. I think some people will be surprised that Never Let Me Go wasn't, more recognised. True Grit has got some serious nominations, but I think in the end, the key contestants are still the same: King's Speech, Social Network, Black Swan. Those are the big challenges.
And if you were a betting man, who would run it? What would be your ones that you can pretty much a sure bet?
Well, look, on principle, I don't bet, but I think that Colin Firth is a shoo-in for Best Actor. I think Natalie Portman has got a very good chance of winning Best Actress. I would say that Miranda Richardson has got a very good chance of winning Best Supporting Actress, although strong competition from Barbara Hershey. I think Gemma Arterton for The Rising Star. I think of Gods and Men for Best Foreign Language Film. I think beyond that it would be foolish to speculate.
And has it been a particularly strong year, do you think, this year for British film?
Every year this question comes up, and every year the answer is the same. It's not just the films that look British that have got British talent in them. Inception is a very good example. That is a huge, big blockbuster movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, directed by Christopher Nolan, and featuring loads of British talent. British talent is always very well represented in international movies. It's interesting this year that The King's Speech looks so much like a British film, but there's always British talent in Hollywood movies anyway.
And how important are the BAFTAs and where do they sort of fit in, do you think, in award season?
They're very significant. I mean, several years ago they moved them in the awards calendar to come before the Oscars rather than after the Oscars, and that has incredibly increased their importance on the national stage. Now I think people look to them as much as they look to the Golden Globes for a forerunner for the Oscars, but I think it's important that they are seen in their own light. They are British awards. They do, as I said before, have a British flavour. That's why you see, for example, something like Made in Dagenham getting recognised here in perhaps a way that you wouldn't elsewhere. So they are British and we should be proud of them for being that, but they are also an indicator as far as the Oscars are concerned. I think that, if you don't see Colin Firth getting Oscar nominated, there will be a riot.
Right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to speak to you this morning.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Strong coffee at the bottom of the accent.
It will be. And the next one is I turn on.
Yes.
How are you? How's that light bulb in your camera? Is that okay? Could you make it brighter?
Try.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah.
January in bed in England, I think, isn't it? Is what? January should be spent in bed.
Definitely. Yeah, hibernation.
So
Yeah,
we're
we
good
happy?
to go? Yeah.
First off, good job presenting, guys. What do you make of the nominations?
I'm quite pleased. I mean, everything I wanted to see there was there. So Black Swan, Inception, The Social Network, King's Speech. So I went with a really eclectic and excellent mix. And I did.
Dominic, the King's Speech, leading the charge by quite a while. 14 nominations. Pretty impressive. What a showing.
Yeah, well, it just shows, it's something that the film that we always do best. It's a beautifully shot film. It's great that it's a young.
Okay, so I guess first of all, what's sort of your general view of this year's nomination list?
I'm always relieved actually when I hear the announcement that if you've got a good mix and all the key films are in there, and of course they are. Very pleased to see True Grit up there. Obviously King's Speech, probably the film of the year. Inception, terrific, very good list.
And what's the process of getting to this point today, Wayne? It's lists announced. How did BAFTA do that?
Oh gosh, there's a long answer coming. We've got just under 6,500 voting members. They start by voting for a long list of 12, which we release to them briefly for about a week. They then vote again to get it down to 5. And then obviously the chapters, who are the specialists within the organisation, then vote for the winners. So that means makeup artists vote for makeup artists, directors vote for directors, everyone votes for best film, everyone votes for the actors.
And how do you choose? How do the voters get chosen?
To join BAFTA, you have to have made an exceptional contribution to the industry.
Okay.
So you've got to be working in the industry for at least 5 years. You've got to have done something pretty special to be a member.
And is there? Would you say on this year's list there's some films that maybe haven't been recognised, and maybe the Golden Globes and may not get recognised? That are going to be sort of uniquely recognised by BAFTA?
I think BAFTA's always got its own character and obviously sometimes a slight British bias. But we have categories to deal with that. So another year, probably the might be, is one that I don't see in the other main awards. So it's nice to see that recognised. Made in Dagenham's probably made more of a splash here than it would in the States. But generally, I think the nominations tend to be fairly equal between the Globes and the American Academy.
And how do you sort of see BAFTA fitting in with award season in general, and how's it kind of grown?
I mean, obviously we moved ahead of the Oscars, I think probably 10 years ago or something now, and that made a huge difference. We used to be the sort of tail end of the award season, so it's like afterthought, and by placing ourselves, obviously the Oscars are the biggest awards in the world, we're not trying to challenge their position, however, you know, we are now very central to the award season, positioning ourselves exactly between the Globes and the Oscars.
Is there any changes that have happened this year to either the ceremony or anything? Is there anything different this year?
Sadly not. No. I mean, we're just. I suppose while it's working in this way, and you know, while we get good attendance and good coverage, we'll keep things as sort of continuous as they can be. I mean, Jonathan Ross is doing his 5th year now. It's good for us that he's actually been off the screens, I think, for the last year, because I think people will be pleased to see him again.
And what happens between today and then the ceremony itself? What goes on?
Oh, it's huge. We've got, well, first of all, we've got the vote. I mean, that's there's an awful lot of vote counting to go on. Most of it's online now, but still that's a big part of the operation. And then, of course, what we're doing now, between now and the ceremony, is trying to make sure that all the nominees show up, finding them wherever they are in the world, dragging them in, getting the people to present. So all of that really kicks off today.
Okay, well, good luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for speaking to us.
Men, which I think is the front runner in the foreign language film category. Those have been the real treat to the year for me.
We saw shortly after the Conservative government came into power, the film houses being knocked on the head.
I think you find it's a coalition government.
Apologies on that. How much of a body blow is the British film, or was it?
A lot of people were like, what? Yeah, this seems to be a sort of more accurate depiction of what
Emphasis placed on the difficulties of funding film in Britain, and too little emphasis placed on the difficulties of distributing films in Britain. There are films that have been made under very difficult.
Good morning.
Wow. Guys, right down the front, please.
To your far left. Straight ahead, please. Straight ahead, please.
Dominic,
straight ahead.
Dominic, to your left, please.
Straight in front, please, guys.
To your right.
All the way to the right.
And guys, straight ahead, please.
And to your left. And to your left, please.
Your left here, please, guys. Straight ahead, please.
A big smile straight to the right, please. Guys, can we just squeeze together, please? Just swing round to your left, please. Right, guys, all the way to your left, please. Dominic, that includes you. And straight down the front, please. Straight down the front, right at the front here.
Straight over here, please.
And front for me, right down the front in the middle. And straight ahead, please. Right in front. Dominic, everyone to your left, please. And Dominic down the middle. That's it. Hey guys, all of you back to the right here, please. Right again for us, please. All of you keep it right.
Straight ahead, guys. Straight ahead, guys.
Okay. Straight down the front for me, right down the middle. Keep working your way round. Dominic, right to here. Talulah, Dominic, just spin round this way, please. Right, straight ahead, smile. And straight this way, please, guys. Straight.
Okay, guys, straight ahead, please.
Just to your left, Dominic, this way. And right down the front again for me, please.
Dominic, Talulah, to your left.
And to your left, please. Big smiles, come on. All the way around, guys. To your left, straight ahead, please. Smiling to your left. Lovely. Guys, back to the right there, please. All the way right, please. And again, please. Straight down. Dominic, just go. Back to the right here, please. And to your left. And just back into the middle, chat.
We do signals.
Guys, and back here to the right. Talulah, to your left, please.
Singles, James.
Dominic.
Singles. Singles. There you go. Have you started?